Building digital products used to take ages, but nowadays with the help of ChatGPT, you can do it in a fraction of the time. In today's video, I am going to walk you through the step-by-step of building a digital product from scratch with the help of ChatGPT. We're going to go over how to brainstorm and validate your digital product idea, how to outline and structure your content, how to create the content, how to design and format the product, how to set up a marketing and launch plan, and then actually launching your product. My name is Zachary Tyler, and with that being said, let's dive into how you can use ChatGPT to build a digital product. So I recently wrote a blog article that is attached to this video called How to Build a Digital Product Using ChatGPT. I also used ChatGPT to essentially turn that article into a step-by-step checklist, which you can also download in the links below. And this step-by-step checklist is what we're going to be using to go through the process of building our digital product. So as we can see here, we're going to start with part one, and that is brainstorm and validate your idea. And so the first thing that we're going to want to do is we're going to list down our skills, interests, hobbies, passions, stuff like that. And I have linked here, also will be linked below, my monetizable skills worksheet. And basically this is just a set of 8 questions that you can go through and answer in order to help you get some background information that you're going to want to do, that you're going to want to put together before you even jump into ChatGPT, all right? The better you can set yourself up for success, the more success you're going to have. As you can see here, I'm just going through, I've already answered all of these questions, so I'm just going to copy them and paste them into a notepad so that I just have them all in one area. You can download this monetizable skills worksheet using the link down below. I'm just going to speed through. I'm going to copy all of my answers to all of these questions, and then we will go into the next step of actually giving this information to ChatGPT. And now we're going to take all of the answers that I put into that worksheet and basically just give them to ChatGPT. So basically, I'm just going to come in here and tell ChatGPT, like, hey, before we get started, I'd like to give you some background information on me that we're going to use for this conversation. I'm coming over, grabbing all of my answers to those questions that I copied from the monetizable skills worksheet, and I'm just going to paste all of them into ChatGPT to give it that background. Context is everything when it comes to ChatGPT. The better quality input you give it, the better quality output you're going to get. So the more details, the more context, the more specific you can be, the better off your responses are going to be. So that's why before we even jump into ChatGPT, you're going to want to take a few minutes, download that skills worksheet, and answer those questions. You don't have to be as detailed as I have been here, but just go into a little bit of detail answering the questions. That way, when it comes time to talking with ChatGPT, you have all of this information ready to go. So we're going to paste that in, and we're going to press enter and see what ChatGPT gives us on the other side. So here we can see ChatGPT just basically said, thank you for giving me this background information, and then ask what would you like to focus on today. So now that it has all of this background information on me, I can get started and let it know what it is that I'm trying to do. I can go ahead and close out that document because we're not going to need it more, and we can go ahead and check off that next step in part 1, inputting our data into ChatGPT, because we have now done that. So our next step is going to be ask ChatGPT for product ideas, right? So you can essentially copy this prompt if you want to. Again, you can get this checklist down below. But I'm basically going to ask it, what digital product ideas can I create based on these skills and experiences? Now, again, remember, context is everything, and the more information you can give it, the more detailed or the more catered, the more tailored and customized to you it's going to be. If you ask ChatGPT a generic question, it is going to give you a generic answer. So with that in mind, not only am I going to ask it, what digital products can I create based on these skills, but I'm actually going to give it a little bit of additional background information on me. So I am an ENTP personality type. I do have ADHD. And so I'm going to inform it like, hey, I'm an ENTP personality type with ADHD. So when brainstorming ideas, please keep in mind the typical strengths and weaknesses of ENTP and ADHD people. So you can do the same thing. For example, I also have a military background, right? So if I wanted my target audience to be focused around military, maybe I would tell it I was a veteran. Or, I'm also part of the LGBTQ plus community. So maybe if that was my target audience, I would say, hey, I'm an LGBTQ cis man, tailor your responses to kind of that target audience. So my target audience in particular are ENTP personality types and people with ADHD. And so that is why I wanted to know that, so that as it's giving me information, it's taking into consideration that information. If you are a different personality type, then maybe throw in your personality type, which you can take from like a free Myers-Briggs quiz or whatever. Let's go to Google, type in, free personality type quiz, and let it know your personality type, and then it will be able to cater more of its data to your strengths and your weaknesses. So as we can see, as I gave it its information, it's starting to give me some suggestions. So here we have like an automated sales funnel kits and templates. So it says, format template packs like for ClickFunnels or Kartra or other funnel building tools. I use Kartra. I have used Kartra in the past, so maybe that is something that I could build. That Kartra does allow templates where basically it's a completely done for you funnel, and you just click upload and it creates all of the bits and pieces of the funnel, and you just fill in your information. So that could be a great product for me to do. It talks about strengths, leverage, right, according to my personality type, why it appeals to me, and then other bonus content that I could do. So we can continue going through. We see we've got personalized digital productivity system. This talks about Notion and Trello board templates, again, kind of like Kartra. There are templates that people can create and sell that you can just upload to your dashboard. I love Trello. Trello has changed my life since I started using it from a productivity level and from a productivity perspective and from an organization perspective. As somebody who has a million ideas and a million thoughts going on in my head at any one time, and I'm constantly jumping from one thing to another, Trello has been incredibly useful to help me kind of get myself organized and on a streamlined path. With that being said, I do have some free Trello trainings on my YouTube channel and on my website under my free training section. So if you are somebody who struggles with productivity and organization, then I definitely suggest checking those out, because Trello has been very helpful for me in that regard. So that is something that I could do, right? I could create additional training videos, or like a paid course on using Trello. Again, talks about strengths and why it appeals to ENTPs and ADHD people. And it's going to do the same thing for all these ideas. So let's just kind of go down the list and see what ideas it gave me. So we had the first one being the funnels. We have personalized digital productivity system, a masterclass series on building passive income streams, something that I'm actually already putting together, which you can take my free 7-day course. There's a link for that down below. A weekly new digital business newsletter. Also already have something similar to that, but that is free. Digital Business Boot Camp, so a 7-day or 14-day intensive program. Again, I already kind of have that happening. It's kind of similar to Digital Business Boot Camp and the personalized digital productivity system, or the masterclass, I'm sorry. Basically, those are kind of the same thing in regards to me. So we have an AI-powered business automation toolkit. That could be interesting. Mindset shifting course, right? So breaking through procrastination. Maybe I could do a course specifically on procrastination. Interactive digital product lab. Digital roadmap consultations. So I do already own a digital consulting agency. That is my company, Solomane. Check it right here. So that is interesting that I mentioned that. It talks about a podcast or YouTube series. And then, so again, kind of breaks all of these down into why they work, what strengths they leverage, appeal, and bonus. So I've gotten all of these ideas, and it's funny because a lot of them are already things that I'm either kind of already working on or already have in existence. But now it's time for me to just go through them and kind of review each one and take like a mental note, or I'll actually just write down here the ones that stand out to me the most, which ones I like the most, and then we will kind of dive further into those. As I've gone through and reviewed them, as you can see, I'm writing down, I really like ideas 2, 3, 5, and 9. So at this point, I'm going to have ChatGPT go a little bit deeper with each of those for me, because out of those 4, I want to kind of look at what kind of work is going to go into putting them together. So I'm going to ask it, can we please dive a bit deeper into those 4, where you go into a bit more detail on which one or what each one consists of from a deliverables perspective, right? So like, if I pursue one of these, what's going to be the deliverable for my client, my customer, my audience, whatever? What am I going to have to do for them? What am I going to have to create? What am I going to have to spend my time on? As well as what benefits the customer or client should expect to get as a result, right? And then also doing a compare and contrast to the pros and cons of each from a creation and a long-term operation standpoint. So basically what this is doing is it's just going to dive deeper into those 4 and break them down. So it's going to break them down into deliverables, customer benefits, the pros and cons of each, And then it's also going to do a compare and contrast of all 4 in order for me to get a better idea of basically what kind of work is going to need to go into creating each one. Now that it's finished giving me all of the information, I'm basically just gonna go through and review all of them, right? So I'm like looking at the deliverables for the personalized digital productivity system. So it talks about, Notion or Trello board templates. I don't use Notion, I used to, but I prefer Trello. So Trello board templates, that could be a deliverable I could create. Also video walkthroughs of using those boards, so that would go along with the templates. A customization guide, right, on how to personalize the templates once you've installed them, and then maybe bonus templates based on the season or stuff like that. So giving me some ideas, and then moving on to the customer benefits, right? So what are the benefits of somebody looking at this or buying this product? Increased productivity for them. So an all-in-one workspace, that is why I love Trello. The flexibility, so allows them to fit the template into their unique workflow. Reduction of overwhelm, right? So I'm also, as I'm reading these, I'm thinking about how can I use this information when it comes to creating my sales content. So when it comes to creating like a sales page, one of the biggest mistakes that beginner entrepreneurs make when it comes to trying to sell digital products is they talk about the features of their product. So, you're going to get, 12 coaching calls with me, and you're going to get 20 templates, and you're going to get 50 videos or 50 hours worth of training, and blah, 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 right? You do not want to focus on features. You want to focus on benefits. People do not buy products, they buy transformations. So you want to focus on the benefits that they're going to get, right? They don't want a template, they want increased productivity, okay? They don't want 5 videos on teaching how to overcome procrastination. They want the result of the reduction of overwhelm. The reason why I asked it to list the benefits is because I'm thinking from the process of when I create my sales page, these are going to be the things that I'm going to list as the benefits of why somebody wants to purchase this. So as I'm reviewing the information that ChatGPT is giving me, I'm just kind of thinking about that in the background of my mind. As we look at the pros, easy creation, low maintenance, scalability, cons, the initial time investment, so it will take a little bit of time to set these up, as well as recording videos and stuff like that, and then support requests. Some users may need additional guidance, etc. So I'm going to go through all 4 of these, look at the deliverables, look at the customer benefits, look at the pros, look at the cons, and see which one kind of feels best to me. Now, you can also go further into this, right? Now, you might just be at this point and be like, I found one that, yes, I'm 100% down or into, and that's great. However, let's say you like bits and pieces of number 2 and bits and pieces of number 5. This is, again, more of how you can use ChatGPT to think about how you can combine these things. So I could go in here and say, I really like this aspect of number 2. I really like this aspect of number 5. How can we combine these into a single digital product or something like that? I'm not going to do that in this particular example, but just that's something that you want to be thinking about as you're kind of having this conversation with ChatGPT. That's exactly what it is. It's a conversation. It is an input-output, back and forth. You kind of need to think about ChatGPT as your professional idea bouncer offer, right? It's going to basically help pull things out of you. You're not looking for it to just give you the answer. You're looking for it to help you figure things out that you already know how to do and maybe just didn't think about in a particular way. So here now I'm looking at, the compare and contrast pros and cons of each of the 4 ideas. So as you can see, the left column, we have basically the different aspects of what would need to go into it, like creation time, ongoing commitment, scalability, customer value, etc. And at the top, we have the 4 different ideas that it came up with. So the productivity system, the masterclass series, the bootcamp, and the consultations. So now I'm just going through and looking at basically how it broke down each of these. For example, creation time of the productivity system, moderate, versus the masterclass, high, bootcamp, moderate to high, and consultations, moderate. So creation time, ongoing commitment, scalability. I am looking at the comparison of all of these and considering what am I looking for? Am I looking for something that I can put together really, really fast with really low maintenance that is just something I can throw out as a minimum viable product? Or am I looking to put something together that's going to take a little bit more time, energy, and effort up front? It's going to have a higher ongoing commitment, lower scalability, but will be able to make me more money in the short term or long term. And that's kind of something to really think about or something to know, is that the things that are faster for you to do, lower commitment, lower maintenance, things like that, are typically going to cost lower, or going to cost less, and therefore you're going to have to sell more of them to make the same money. So for example, if you sell an ebook, right, you put it together once, you basically set up the whole funnel once, and then it just exists, and at that point you just promote it. That's great. It's very low maintenance, very low cost, very low time and effort and energy, but also has a smaller cost, and therefore you're going to have to sell way more of them. Whereas if you look at consultations, it's going to take a little bit more time, right? The ongoing commitment is high. The scalability is low because there's only so many of you. There's only one of you, right? So you only have so many hours. The customer value, though, is high. The price point is also high, and the engagement needed is high, and so the flexibility is low. But, this is going to take more time, energy, and effort, but you can charge a lot more. So let's say your goal is to get to $10,000 a month. Well, if you look at an ebook that you can sell for $10, then you're going to have to sell 1,000 of those a month in order to get to $10,000 a month. Whereas if you offer a coaching or consulting service that you charge, $1,000 for, then you only need to sign on 10 clients per month in order to meet that $10,000 per month. Or if, let's say it's $2,000, right? If you charge $2,000 for your coaching or consulting service in whatever your niche is, then you only need to sign on 5 clients per month in order to reach that $10,000 per month goal. So it really just depends on how much time, energy, and effort you're looking to put into, how much money you're trying to make, and what your personal preferences are. As we can see here, basically the summary basically says what I just said, right? If you want a low maintenance option that can be updated incrementally and sold repeatably, then the personalized digital product system is a great choice. So that's what it's telling me. For a higher touch, higher value, the masterclass. If you love engagement and fostering community, the digital bootcamp, and if you enjoy one-on-one interactions and have the bandwidth, then the digital roadmap consultations. And so at this point, it's asking me, which one of these do you think fits in your current vision or energy the most? So again, conversation, right? Now I'm going to tell it, this is what I'm looking for, this is what I want to do. So here I'm going to tell it, while I love the idea of the digital roadmap consultations, for this particular project, I want to focus more on something that will be the quickest and easiest to set up with the lowest long-term maintenance requirements. And that is because as I'm making this video, I want something that I can put together quickly because I'm trying to do it specifically for this video. So with that in mind, I think I want to go with a personalized digital productivity system. So I'm telling ChatGPT that's what I want to do, and that's why I want to do it, right? Again, context. I don't want to just say, this is what I want to do. Why is that the thing you want to do, so that it understands what it is you're trying to achieve. So let's see, now that I tell it that, what it goes into next. And so here, okay, it's diving into a detailed plan for that. It shows me what the core deliverables are. So it goes through the templates, the video walkthroughs, the customization guide, and the bonus access, what the benefits are going to be for the customer when they buy this. And then the pros and cons of this system. And again, just kind of giving me a similar chart as what it gave me before, except specifically for this product. And now is even giving me an action plan. So it's funny, it's actually starting to do things that I haven't even asked it to do yet, which are part of our checklist that we are currently using. And so you can see it's giving me a phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, phase 5. And now we're actually going to be able to just check some stuff off on our checklist that we're using to go through this process, because as you can see, it not only gave me an action plan, but also wrote down kind of the estimate of how much time it should take to do these things. Now, it's not going to take me this much time actually, because I already know how to do a lot of this stuff, but it's kind of giving you an idea of how much time you should spend putting each section together. So if we go back to our checklist, the 6-step digital products with ChatGPT framework, which once again, I'll keep reminding you can download using the links below. We have asked it for product ideas, and now we have also gone through and reviewed the suggestions. And so this actually leads us to part 2, outlining and structuring your content. And we've also kind of started to do some of these automatically without us even asking. ChatGPT just knew to kind of give us that. So choose your product type. This is something that we already did. This is deciding, what type of product you want to make. So decide on the specified digital product you want to create, such as an online course, an ebook, consulting services, etc. And then If ChatGPT didn't already give you an outline, ask it for an outline using something like, how should I structure a course, ebook, or service on whatever your topic is. And so now that we have our product type, right, I've decided I'm going to do this productivity system. Looking at my current setup, my current Trello board, how I have my own board set up right now, how do I need to use ChatGPT to further define this product, right? But it already gave us an outline of kind of everything that we need to do, so we can go ahead and check that off. And now basically we need to start following this action plan. Now, not gonna lie, as I'm looking at this more and kind of looking at all of the phases, the phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, right? I'm kind of starting to think that this is probably not going to be the best product for me to make for this particular example. I 100% could go through and make this product, but using the checklist that we're following, right, I don't necessarily think this is the best example of like asking ChatGPT how to go ahead and create content, stuff like that, right? Because when it comes to creating templates for something like Trello, it's very personal to me. Like, it's very personal to my setup because I have my own setup. I can't ask ChatGPT to explain to you, to write a content piece explaining to you how to use my Trello board, because only I can explain how to use my Trello board. So the more and more I'm looking at this, I'm actually thinking we might change what product we're going to pursue, because I want to be able to continue going down through the checklist, following it in the way that it's designed, so that you can also follow it in the same way that it's designed. So I'm actually looking, and as you can see here too, notice how like it says we have phase 4, sales page setup and launch, and then phase 5, marketing and distribution. Those are basically the exact same things that I have on the checklist that we are following, my 6-step framework. We can also see down in part 5 and part 6, set up the marketing and launch plan. And yeah, so now that I've kind of gone through and looked at the steps that ChatGPT gave me for those, I am thinking that we're probably going to change what we're going to do. So I'm actually going to come back to our framework. So I'm going to go ahead and uncheck asking for the outline and choosing the product type, because we are moving backwards. It is okay to move backwards, 2 steps, when it's going to help you move forward 10 steps. So here I'm just going to say, hey, ChatGPT, I've actually changed my mind, and I want to do the digital roadmap consultations instead, and we'll see what it gives us. Okay, so it's basically given us the exact same thing it did for the previous one. We've got our core deliverables, right? So it says 1-hour consultation call. So, we'll do a deep dive into the client's business, focusing on identifying challenges and stuff. We'll need a pre-call questionnaire. So this is more so gonna, I think, work better for us because there are actual deliverables or content that I can use ChatGPT to create. I couldn't use ChatGPT to create my templates, right? I'm gonna have to actually go through and create my templates. So I am obviously, like it says, follow-up emails. So that's something that we can create, roadmaps as a deliverable. That's something that ChatGPT can create for us. So this, I think, is going to be a better example of something that we can use ChatGPT for to create a lot of the content for us. But it basically gave us the exact same thing that it did with the previous idea, which was deliverables, pros and cons of this, and then an action plan as well. And so as we can see here, like this action plan, it talks about designing the process and template. So a pre-consultation questionnaire, that's something that we can do with ChatGPT. A roadmap template, also something ChatGPT can create. Email templates, also something ChatGPT can create. Great, right? So I like this idea better because I can actually show you in this video this process of putting these together. So we can go back to our checklist. We can check off part 1, choosing your product type, because we're going to do that now. We're basically going to do services. We can ask ChatGPT for an outline if it didn't give us one already. It did give us one already. That's that action plan. And so now we can move on to the next step of refining the outline. So this is where we're going to review ChatGPT's suggestions, making sure it fits with us, our vision, includes key content, etc., right? We're at a point where if we needed to refine the outline, right, we could say, hey, we don't want to include this, or hey, it's missing this, we need to include that. We could have that conversation with ChatGPT. Just based on me looking at what it gave me so far, I pretty much like what it gave me, so we could just go ahead and mark this as done. But again, keep in mind, conversation, you can tell it to make changes as you're going through. So we'll go ahead and mark that down. And then also break down each section, right? So use ChatGPT to draft content outlines for each module or section. So this would be where, like if you were creating an ebook, you would ask it to help break down chapters. If you were doing a course, you would ask it to help break down modules or what training should be in each, module or what videos to include. And so as we can see here, right, like if it didn't already give us, a breakdown of each section, we would ask it. But as we look through here, we can see it kind of broke down everything that we need to do and everything we need to include already. It gave us phase 1, so this is designing the process and templates. Phase 2, setting up the tech. Phase 3, marketing and launching. And phase 4, client delivery and iteration, right? So we can go ahead and check that off too, because it already gave us that. And this allows us to move on to part 3, which is creating the content. And it's kind of funny because as you start to go through, you're going to notice things kind of start to blend together because it kind of already starts to do bits and pieces here and there. But if we go back and look at like phase 1, right, it says we need a pre-consultation questionnaire, we need a roadmap template, we need email templates. And so here we can just ask it, right, please create a pre-consultation questionnaire, because that is something that we need to include. But before we do that, I'm actually going to go back into my Google Drive and I am going to create a folder to start putting in the content of this, right? So I'm in my Google Drive in my digital products folder. I'm going to create a new folder. I'll just create it called, example products. This is where I can start to save all of the stuff that ChatGPT is giving me. So we're going to save it as the digital roadmap consultations. And then this first thing that I'm going to save is our detailed plan, right? Our detailed plan. So I'm creating a new document and I'm just going to save this document as the detailed plan for the digital roadmap consultations, and then copy and paste all of the content that it gave me inside this document so that I have it in my folder for me to reference later. Just organize it a little bit, just kind of make a little bit of separations just for my own personal mental clarity. And so now it's asking us, does this plan resonate with your vision, or are there specific details you'd like to adjust? I'm going to say, yes, I love this. I think this is great. I love this whole action plan. Now let's get started with phase 1. And this is where I can begin to ask it for my first deliverable. So my first deliverable, it says, needs to be a pre-consultation questionnaire. And so let's ask it, please create a pre-consultation questionnaire. And then you can use the text or that it gave you as part of your command. So it says to create a Google form that gathers essential information about the client's current business goals, challenges, and desired outcomes. So in my prompt, I'm saying, please create a pre-consultation questionnaire to gather essential information about the client's current business goals, challenges, etc. And so now it's going to create us this questionnaire that, once again, I'm just going to copy and paste into a Google document that I can then come back and format later, or use these as questions maybe when I set up the booking the call, right? This is something that my clients will have to answer before they book their call or something like that. We'll figure all that out later. But right now, I'm just kind of getting all of the raw content, the raw data that I need to then format later on in order to build out this process. Here, it's given us a handful of questions, basic information, business overview, etc. And I'm just going to copy and paste this and put it into another Google document. And so we're just going to go down the list, right? It also says for phase 1, we need a roadmap template. So it tells us to design a template for the strategy roadmap. So here I say, I like this template, thank you. That's in reference to the the consultation questionnaire. So now it's saying, so please move on to the next item in phase 1 and design a template for the strategy roadmap. Once again, same process, right? Once you kind of get in the hang of this, it's pretty self-explanatory. It's basically a conversation back and forth, right? So it did this one thing, we could check that off, and now it's time to move on to the next thing so that we can check that off. We're going to ask it for the strategy roadmap, and it is now going to create a template for us that we can use as a strategy roadmap later on when I am going through this process with my clients. So I'm just going to review it to see what it gave me. I'm going to copy it all and paste it into another Google document and just kind of make some quick little spacing just so I can get it a little bit more organized. And I'm kind of reviewing it as I go through this. And so at this point, I'm coming back to the action plan, right, that it made for us. This is not the 6-step framework, but this is the action plan that it told us of the things that we need to do. And so under phase 1, right, create the pre-consultation questionnaire, we had it do that. Create the roadmap template, we just had it do that. So we can go ahead and check that off. And then now it's telling us we need email templates. So now we can tell it, let's move on to item 3 in phase 1, copy the text that it gave us and say, can you please write, and then I'm just gonna, paste in the rest, email templates for this, and for this, because that's what it said we needed. So that's what I want it to generate. Okay, so we have our pre-consultation instruction email, gives us that. So basically this is gonna be the first email a client gets once they have signed up, or once they are getting ready to sign up for the consultation, right? It'll have a link to the questionnaire. And, it says, hey, please do this, prepare any relevant materials, etc., right? So then it has the follow-up email. So this will be apparently 1 week after consultation, follow-up number 2, so 2 to 3 weeks after consultation. And then 4, this will be immediately after the consultation. And then 5, a thank you after sending the roadmap. So once again, very quickly, pumped out a bunch of I don't say generic, but basic emails that we can then go through and spruce up when it comes time to actually sending them to clients. So once again, I'm just going to go through, I'm going to copy these like we have the past couple documents and go back to my Google Drive, create a new document, and then save these templates to that document so that I have them and can reference them later. We can come back to our action plan. We can check off the email templates, and great, we are done phase 1. And so now we can move on to phase 2, which is setting up tech and scheduling, right? So it talks about using tools like Calendly, which I already have, setting up a payment gateway if we need to, etc. And so going back to our 6-part framework, so section 1 of that is draft lesson scripts or content. We basically just did that, right? We had it create the emails, we had it create the templates, we had it create whatever the stuff was that the other roadmap that it generated for us said we needed. And so we've begun to create the content. Now, refining the content, right? So let's just say, I'm going to say for argument's sake that we have done this. This is where you would want to actually go through those emails and edit them, or go through the questionnaire, pull out questions that you don't think are relevant for you, or maybe add questions that are not included that you should. For the purposes of this video, I'm not going to go through. I'm just going to pretend like everything has been refined and I just like it the way that it is. But with that being said, you would come through here and make those changes, make it not look like a crappy Word document, but actually make it look like a good PDF and stuff like that. And then once you do that, you could go ahead and check this section off. So we're going to go ahead and check that off for now and move on to the next one of part 3, which is create supporting materials. Again, if needed. This is similar to the other stuff that we did. So if you were doing a course, you would do quizzes or downloadable resources or study guides. If you were doing an ebook, maybe worksheets or things like that, right? Like I told you about the Monetizable skills worksheet that you can download below, right? That's part of this process. So if we look at it in that way, then if you need materials, then great. In this particular circumstance, right, I don't really need supporting materials, or you could argue that the content generated in this materials are kind of the same thing for consultation purposes, right? And so at this point, it's done that, right? The emails, the questionnaire, the roadmap, these are all supporting materials that I'm going to need to be able to give to my client once we go through their consultation. And so it could be the content or it could be the supplemental materials. If you're creating a course, then the content would be your actual course content, right? If you're creating an ebook, it would be the actual chapters in your book. This leads us to part 4, designing and formatting your product. First step in that is going to be choosing a platform. So depending on what type of product you're creating is going to maybe determine which platform you want to use. Now, if you need help figuring out what platforms you should go on based on your digital product or whatever it is that you're going to pursue, I do have a video and an article on my website that kind of goes through that process. I will also link those down below or up here somewhere. But basically, if you're creating an online course, you're probably going to use School. If you're creating a digital product like an ebook, like a one-time purchase type thing, then you're going to probably use ConvertKit or Gumroad. And then if you're creating something like a service, then you can also do that on both ConvertKit, and you can also kind of do that in school. I wouldn't suggest it for school if that's all you're going to be doing, because school does have a monthly fee. But if you're going to be selling some kind of digital consulting service or any kind of service really, then you can set up a service like recurring payments and stuff like that, or a one-time purchase using ConvertKit. It's free up to your first 10,000 subscribers, so I will leave a link down for that below as well. So continuing on with this section of creating and formatting the product, right? I'm actually going to come back into the action plan for my digital roadmap consultations. So according to the action plan, I need to set up scheduling software. So it says use a tool like Calendly. I need to set up a payment gateway, which can also be done either through Calendly or through the other platform that you're going to use, which I'm actually going to use ConvertKit, so we'll get into that too. I'll show you how to do that. And you need to set up a video platform in order to host your consultations. Again, not necessary if you're selling an ebook or something like that, but let's say you're setting up an online course, then you might need to set up your school community in order to host your videos or stuff like that. So we're going to go through each of these steps and go through the process of setting that up for this digital product example specifically. So first, calendly.com, if you need to get scheduling, if you need to schedule appointments or anything like that, they do have a free version, so you don't have to pay for it. I do have the paid version because I have different types of meetings that I allow people to set up. If you get the free version, it only allows you to have one type of meeting, but that might be all that you need. But once you create a Calendly account, you're just going to come into your account and you're going to want to create a new meeting type. So I'll just go through that really quickly. You go to the create, go to event type, and basically just go through all the settings one by one, right? So what type of event do you want it to be? I'm going to do a one-on-one, and then I'm going to give it a name. So I will name it, just example digital consult. We'll go through the event details, how many minutes do you want it to be, give it a description, right? And here's another perfect example of using ChatGPT to further help you create that supplemental content that we were talking about earlier. So on this video description, this meeting description, I need to put some content in there. So as we can see here, right, I can come back to this creating supporting materials. I already checked it off, but technically this is one of the things that you're going to kind of start to do back and forth. So I can come to ChatGPT and I can say, hey, please write a short summary description to add to the description of a Zoom call, right? And so you can see that, I'm putting that right here, and it's going to give me that quick description that I can then copy and paste into my Zoom. So I can additionally, do we want to allow invitees to add guests or whatever? No. Scheduling settings, so we can decide what days you want available, etc. I'm not going to dive super into Calendly specifically, but you basically just want to go through all of the settings, right? Here we have a questionnaire section. So again, we have that pre-consultation questionnaire, right? Technically, I can do that one of two ways. I could either have somebody sign up and then answer the question after, or I could have them answer the questionnaire before they can even book the call, or as part of booking the call. And if you don't know which you want to do, use ChatGPT. That is the whole point of this video. Use ChatGPT for anything and everything that you can. So I'm literally coming to ChatGPT and saying, should I include any basic questions on the Zoom sign up, or should I just save all of the questions for the pre-consult questionnaire, right? And so it's going to tell me this is what you should do and why. And if you need to add some basic questions, here are some basic questions that you should include. Every step through this process, if you don't know the answer, ask ChatGPT and it will guide you. So it just gave me some suggestions of what I should do. So I'm going to go ahead and do it. I'm going to add those additional questions on here and go ahead and add that. I'm going to make that a multiple choice. Great. And now we can say that is good. Now here, again, this is a Calendly specific thing. So depending on what it is you're doing, if you're using Calendly, then technically I could just set my payments up right here. So you can set up a payment in Calendly where in order for somebody to book a call with you, they have to make a payment. Now, I do not want to do that through Calendly for this particular process. So I'm going to just select do not collect payments because I'm actually going to create my digital product on ConvertKit. That way I can track the metrics over there. However, let's say you didn't want to use ConvertKit and you just wanted to set up a booking page and you just want to collect payments directly in here, then you could do that, which if you remember is part of our checklist. Part of our checklist says set up a payment gateway, right? So you would just do that in Calendly or you would do it in ConvertKit which we're going to jump over to ConvertKit in a minute to show you setting up a digital product over there. Last thing, notifications, right? Just setting up notifications, what you want to send to them once they've booked. And then once you are done, we can click done. And at this point, we now have a meeting that we can copy the link for and link to later on. So I have the link, great, now we can move on. So we set up our scheduling software, right? We can check that off. Payment gateway, we can move on to that, which that is actually going to be through ConvertKit, but technically we could set that up if we wanted to. Now, video platform, again, you might not need this if you're selling an ebook or something like that, but also if you're doing those, it's not going to tell you, right? ChatGPT is not going to tell you to set up a video platform if you're creating a digital product that has nothing to do with video. So the only reason it's included in my suggestions is because I'm doing consultations, and consultations are going to require a video conversation, right? So I already have that set up. I'm just going to check that off for now because not really necessarily relevant. And so we can move on to phase 3. And so let's go back to part 4 of our 6 steps, right? Choose a platform. And I, like I said, want to do this on ConvertKit. So I'm going to jump over into ConvertKit, which is now kit.com, formerly ConvertKit. Just log in. Again, they allow you to have a free account up to 10,000 subscribers. But once we're logged in, we can just come over to the Earn tab. And on the Earn tab is where we can set up digital products. So I'm going to go to products. As you can see, I am actually currently in the process of building out kind of like my whole new funnel. But you just go to create new product. I'm going to put example digital consulting right here. Is it a one-time product or subscription? One-time product. Here you can set up payment plans or different like pricing. So either standard, meaning pay once. Pay what you want allows your customers to basically choose what they want to pay you. And then payment plans, you could do payment plans if you're offering that. And then fulfillment, well, we can see you've got digital download, a newsletter, or something else. So since in my particular example, I'm going with services, right, or a consulting service, so I'm going to choose something else. But if you're doing an ebook, then you can click a digital download, and then it will allow you to upload your ebook here, and so that when somebody buys it, they immediately get access to the download after they've purchased. I have a whole other video on how to do that, so I will link that down below or up here somewhere. But definitely check that out if you're looking to set up a digital ebook or something like that specifically, a downloadable file specifically. And we click next. And we determine the URL. If you have a custom domain, you can set that up here. I'm not going to worry about that. Not going to worry about the page URL. Just use the default and click Create Product. Now it brings us to the product page. We can add an image, add a headline, add body text, right? So I'll go ahead and just upload an image really quick. And then once again, I'm going to come back to that same, this is where, again, you can use ChatGPT to give you information for the headline and for the description, stuff like that. In this particular example, right, since I already had a description created for the Zoom call, I'm just going to go ahead and copy that same description and put that as the description of this page as well. And then kind of just do a quick little edit and move on. Up at the top, you can check your, look at your checkout page to see what that looks like. Check your confirmation page and check the receipt email so you can just see how it looks once the customer goes through the process. Now, for example, it says, click the link below to download it or your file has been emailed. In this particular example, there's no file that's being emailed, right? So this doesn't make sense. So I'm going to change it right here, right? Your link to schedule a call has been emailed because that makes sense for me. But if you're sending an ebook, then it makes sense that there'd be a link to download, right? So I'll just erase that section and move on. Go to the receipt email. And this is going to be the receipt that the buyer gets. And so once again, I'm going to want to change this and say, it says you can download your file as many times as you like. There's no file to download, right? So this receipt, this default receipt email doesn't make sense. So I can just go ahead and change it to whatever makes sense for my digital product. So, please click here or visit the link below to schedule your consultation. And then this is where I'm going to include the link from Calendly. This is how my customer is going to be able to schedule their call, as they're going to get this receipt email, which includes the link for them to then go schedule that call. And so I can go ahead and save that, double check my settings just to make sure everything is set the way that I want it to. Currently set to $4.95. Let's say I want to change to $2.95. We'll go with that. Great. Click save. Just do one final review. Make sure everything is good to go. If you want to put upsells or discounts, right, don't need to worry about that. So now we can click save, click publish, and once I click publish, we can see I now have a URL to my product in order for somebody to go buy that. So now we can see the payment gateway that's been set up, right? I just created that product in order for somebody to buy it. So now it exists. So we move over to phase 3, create a simple landing page on your website. Technically, we could just use the page that it just made for that product, but I want to create a little bit more of a landing page that's actually like a sales landing page. So now, depending on what platform you're using, you can do this with ConvertKit. I already have a website, right? Solomain.com is my main company website. I can just go ahead and create a new page for this. Now, for the sake of time, I'm just going to, I have existing templates already, so I'm basically just going to use an existing template I already have and just fill in the information. Now, you could also build this from scratch if you wanted to, or you could get, buy templates online if you wanted to, or things like that, depending on who your platform is, what platform you're using. But just for argument's sake, I'm going to build this page really quick, right? So I'm going to come in here, I'm going to open up my template, I'm going to load it up to this page, and I'm going to just start putting all of, replacing all of this information. So, changing the headlines, and this is where, once again, we can use ChatGPT to generate this stuff for us. So if we go back to our checklist just to kind of get updated to see where we're at, asking ChatGPT for design tips if we need to. I don't need to because, again, I already have that template. Creating visuals, right? So if I need to know information about that, then you can do that. Upload and organize your content. Again, don't really need to do that because I already have this template. We can go back to our action plan for this particular product and look at creating our landing page, right? That's what we're doing right now. And so we want to copy that link of our product. I can make sure to put that link on the click here to book your consultation call. That leads us to the product. And I'm going to go ahead and go through and finish asking ChatGPT to now create some content for this landing page, right? So please write engaging copy for the sales landing page that includes benefits of the consultation and what clients will receive. And so now it's going to generate some content for us that I can use as my headlines, as my subheaders, as bullet points, stuff like that. Here, it's giving us 2 different options, which is cool. So every once in a while, ChatGPT does this. It'll ask basically what is your preference. And the great thing about it when it does this is it's giving us 2 different, not only giving us 2 different options, but it's giving us 2 different options and then explains kind of what the difference is between the 2, which I really like. And so as you can see here, at the bottom. So this first one, right, it says this copy focuses on highlighting the transformation clients will experience. Then the second one says this copy aims to make the benefits clear, emphasize the personal nature of your service. So now it kind of comes to me to be like, okay, what message am I trying to convey more, right? I personally want to highlight the transformation that clients will experience, okay? People don't buy products, they buy transformations. So yes, I want to focus on copy which is going to highlight the transformation that a client should expect to get when they purchase this product. So I'm probably going to go with the content from this first one over on the left. And so I can just start, pulling things out that I find relevant, that work for me, that, sound like they're good for my target audience or that I agree with. I can change them as I need to. Again, for time's sake, I'm just going to go ahead and copy and paste stuff and put it in here. But this is, again, where you can start to customize things that you want to as needed. So we've got headlines, we've got body text, we've got subheaders, we've got bullet points, right? Stuff like that. So I'm just going to get, copy these and put these into the different areas that make sense for my template. So at this point, I have put in all of the headers, the subheaders, the bullet points, the section about how it works. I've put in the buttons of scheduling their consultation call, which goes to my product, right? And so I can come back here and check off landing page, right? Introductory offer, this kind of an optional thing. I'm not going to worry about that right now, so just close that out. And then social media promotion, right? This all come down to, and we'll kind of start focusing on that when we start focusing on creating content. But from a making the product ready to buy, basically, perspective, at this point, we're kind of done, right? So now we can look at the sales page. We can see I've got the headers, the subheaders, the buttons, the text that ChatGPT gave us. I can do a quick, overview of it. open it up in an incognito tab. I like to look at things in incognito tabs or private tabs specifically because it shows you what the page looks like with no cookies or with no anything like that. So you can make sure that you're looking at it from a fresh perspective, make sure everything makes sense. And so that brings us down to the last section of part 4 of the designing and formatting the product, and that's you want to test the user experience, right? So you want to go through your entire process from start to finish to make sure every step of the way for your potential lead, your potential client is smooth and everything makes sense and all the buttons work and stuff like that. Now, this one's pretty simple, right? So we can say, look at this page in an incognito tab. I can see that from a visual perspective, everything is showing up the way that I want it to. Now I want to test the buttons, right? Is the button working? So I'll go ahead and click the button, open that up, and that should, right, lead us to our product page, and it does. So here's our product, and we can see I've got the Book My Consultation button, so we can go ahead and click that. Now, I personally do not want to pay $295 right now to test this. So I know that I can go into ConvertKit and create a discount. So I'm actually going to do that really quick. I'm just going to create a 100% discount code that I can then put in here so that I'm going to use my real debit card and go through the real process, the real sign-up process, the real sale, just to see how it works on the other side. So I'm going to add a discount really quick. And as you can see here, you have to put, it's not like a code where you can just type in the code. It creates a specific special link. So that is where if you want to create a time-sensitive offer, time-sensitive bonus, then you can create a special link where that link is only available in one email, right? And it only can only be used so many times, etc. So I'm going to go ahead and put that special link up here. As we can see, it's got the promo free 100 that I just created. So now when I go ahead and book my consultation, we can see the price is 0, right? It's adding that discount. So I'll go ahead and put my email in here, put my credit card information, my actual credit card number, right? And buy this as basically a fake customer to see how it works on the other side. As we can see, so I got a new email. It says, thank you, great, your consultation has been emailed to you. So let me go check my email, refresh. I can see here my email. I got the email and there is the link to schedule the consultation call. So I will go ahead and click that link, and I'm going to, again, open it in a new incognito tab so that I'm not logged in. It doesn't have any reference or anything like that. And I can see this is what the page looks like. I can go ahead and schedule a date. I can see my questions are in here. And then this is where I would fill that out and, schedule the event. And at that point, the event is scheduled, right? And so you're just going to want to go through this. If you are setting up an email sequence, go through your email sequence. If you are setting up an ebook, you want to make sure that when you go through a purchase, that the ebook actually gets downloaded and it's the right file, right? So you're going to want to test the user experience. We can go ahead, come back and check that off because we have tested the user experience. And this leads us to part 5, setting up our marketing and launch plan. And so once again, using ChatGPT, right? We can go ahead and ask it to create marketing copy. Now, I basically already did this part because I created that marketing copy for my landing page, which also creating a landing page, right, says it's already in here. So a lot of these are starting to blend together because there are some things that we did already for other aspects of the checklist. And so as we can see of the action plan for the specific product, right, social media promotion, if I wanted to start promoting this, I would start creating social media content for it. Obviously, I'm not going to because this is just an example. But for marketing and the launch plan, a sales email sequence. So now I can ask it, right, set up a sales email sequence. Now, if I was really going to be promoting this, then I could have it create this email sequence, which it's going to do. And we could either create an entirely new email sequence, right? I can come back into ConvertKit and go back into Send and go my sequences and create an entirely new sequence. This account is on the free account, just as an example, right? I'm just using it for examples. But if this was my actual account, then I could just create a new sequence if I wanted to. Or if you're on a free account, then you could just go into your existing sequence and just add this new sales sequence to the end of your initial email sequence, right? So at that point, we would say, okay, cool, we have all of our emails. I can go ahead and copy these and save them into my Word document, again, kind of like we did before, and then ask it for social media stuff. So I can come in here and say, Please list some ideas of Instagram Reels and carousel posts for promoting this offer that provide solutions to common problems for our target audience. It is going to give us some Reels ideas, right? 3 reasons you're feeling stuck in your business, and it tells us, right? A hook, the content idea, and the call to action. And how to create an action plan in 3 simple steps. This is why your sales funnel isn't converting, right? So these are all pieces of content I could now go and create where each of them has a call to action that the person, I could say, hey, click the link in my bio to get this free thing, or to sign up for a consultation call, or whatever it is that I'm trying to promote, to get your ebook, or, etc. Again, copy, paste it, put it in a Google document so I have it, I can refer back to it later. And we can come back to our 6-step checklist and check off the stuff that we have done so far, right? So we set up an email automation. We asked ChatGPT to draft marketing copy, so it wrote us an email sequence. It created social media posts for us or gave us ideas. We can check that off. Set up email automation. Let's say we took those emails, added them to our initial email sequence, the end of it, or created a new sequence, right? So we could say that was done and then schedule social media posts. Now I could come in, create those reels, create those carousels, etc. Schedule them using a platform like later.com, or if you're using it like Facebook and Instagram, you could use Meta's Business Suite. They have a built-in pre-scheduler. And this leads us to part 6, which is launching your product, right? So at this point, the product exists, right? Like I can check off publish your product. It's already published. It already exists. It is live. So now the only things that are left are announcing the launch, right? This is going on your social medias and saying, hey, I have this thing, right? Share your story, share it to your story, announce the launch, promote your product with your social media content. In this part 6, launching your product and promoting your product and responding to feedback, this is just kind of that ongoing process that once you start posting social media content that's promoting either your funnel or your email list or your lead magnet or your product, this just kind of happens over time and consistently. You're just going to do this every day, new social media content. Now that you have your product, it's been launched, it's been announced, it's live, people can go buy it. The only thing you need to focus on now is consistently promoting it by creating valuable, beneficial, helpful social media content, and then responding to feedback on it, right? As people begin to buy it, either ask questions or have problems or need further assistance, responding to that feedback, making changes as necessary. Over time, you will be able to build up more and more sales. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you found it extremely helpful in realizing how you can use ChatGPT to help you through the entire process of building a digital product, all the way from the idea and validation stage to actually launching and promoting your product. If you need more guidance, then you can sign up for my free 7-day email passive income course, which is listed below. Hit the like button, hit subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.